Beyond the trip, beyond the haze, we're lighting up these shadow waves, ketamine dreams to...
Welcome back to Conscious Healing, Beyond the Trip, hosted by Dr. Jason Harris. Each week, Dr. Harris explores the world of ketamine and other psychedelics, uncovering how they're helping to treat mental health conditions and chronic pain disorders.
This podcast is intended for educational purposes only. The information shared should not be considered medical advice. Always consult with your physician or a qualified healthcare professional before making any changes to your medication or treatment plan. Please be aware that some of the substances and treatments discussed on this podcast may be illegal in certain jurisdictions. We do not endorse or encourage the use of illicit substances. Welcome back to Conscious Healing Beyond the Trip, where we talk honestly about mental health, pain, addiction, emerging treatments, and the places where science, medicine, and culture collide. Today's topic is one I think every parent, patient, clinician, and policymaker needs to understand. Kratom and 7-hydroxymetragenine, commonly called 7-OH. These products are being marketed as natural, safe, plant-based, and legal. They're sold in smoke shops, gas stations, convenience stores, online, and sometimes packaged in ways that look harmless. Gummies, drinks, shots, capsules, powders, and even candy-like products. But here's the problem. Natural does not mean safe. Legal does not mean harmless, and plant-based does not mean non-addictive. My opinion is straightforward. 7-OH should be banned, and Kratom products should not be allowed to remain in the marketplace as unregulated, over-the-counter, opioid-like products. So what is Kratom? Kratom comes from a tropical tree called the Metragina speciosa, native to Southeast Asia. These leaves contain psychoactive alkaloids, especially metragenine and 7-hydroxymetragenine or 7-OH. At lower doses, Kratom may act more like a stimulant, and at higher doses, it can produce sedating and opioid-like effects. The DEA has described Kratom as producing stimulant effects as low doses and sedative effects at higher doses, and it has linked Kratom use with psychological and physical dependence. That is important because many people are not using Kratom as a harmless tea. They are using concentrated powders, extracts, shots, gummies, and enhanced products that may deliver far more potent opioid-like effects than people even realize. So what is 7-OH? 7-OH is one of the most concerning compounds associated with Kratom. It occurs naturally in Kratom in very small amounts. But the real danger today is the rise of concentrated 7-OH products. The FDA has specifically targeted 7-OH as a concentrated byproduct of the Kratom plant and has stated that it is not focused on the natural Kratom leaf products. The FDA also says that 7-OH binds to opioid receptors and has increasing abuse potential. The Texas Department of State Health Services has warned that Kratom products can typically contain low levels of 7-OH, but synthetic or semi-synthetic 7-OH products can contain concentrations as high as 98% 7-OH. Texas DSHS also notes that studies show 7-OH can be up to 13 times more potent than morphine. Let me put this in perspective. Dilaudid or hydromorphone, which is one of the strongest prescription-based medications for pain that we use in medicine, is only 7 times more potent than morphine. That should get everyone's attention. We're not talking about a chamomile tea here. We're talking about products that act on opioid pathways that can produce dependence, they can cause withdrawal, and in concentrated forms may behave like a new opioid drug being sold without the protections we require for actual medications. One of the most troubling parts of Kratom and 7-OH is how they're marketed. They're often promoted for pain, anxiety, depression, energy, focus, opioid withdrawal, and mood enhancement. The FDA has specifically stated that there are no FDA-approved prescription or over-the-counter drug products containing kratom or its known alkaloids legally on the market in the United States. The FDA also warns against kratom for medical treatment because safety and effectiveness have not been established. So we have products being sold for medical-sounding reasons, but without the standards that we require for real medical products. There's no controlled dosing, no reliable purity, no consistent labeling, no physician oversight, and no required monitoring, no meaningful protection for patients with an addiction history, psychiatric illness, liver disease, pregnancy, or polysubstance abuse. And yet these products sit on shelves next to energy drinks, vapes, and candy. That's unacceptable. Also, when it comes to marketing, the people selling this compound know how addictive it is, and they don't care. I've treated numerous patients that started out using kratom leaf because somebody said, here, try this, it'll give you a little energy, or try this because you're in a little bit of pain. And then they start going and buying it. And when they go back and buy more, they tell the shop owner that it doesn't seem to be working as well. What does the shop owner do? They say, here, let me give you a free sample of this 7-OH. Without knowing it, these unsuspecting customers fall in the deep, dark hole of addiction that is absolutely miserable and terrifying for them to get out of. This truly upsets me because the shop owners are just like any other drug dealer, doing whatever they can to create a repeat customer. Now, let's talk about why natural is not a defense. A common defense of kratom is it's natural, but poison ivy's natural, tobacco's natural, opium is natural, and hemlock is natural. Every one of the natural substances, those can kill you. The question is not whether something comes from a plant. The question is, what does it do pharmacologically? Can it cause dependence? Can it cause withdrawal? Can it impair judgment? Can it interact with other substances? Can it injure or kill people? Is it being marketed honestly? Is the dose predictable? And is there a legitimate medical oversight system? With kratom and 7-OH, the answer to too many of those questions is deeply concerning. The FDA has warned that kratom use carries risks including liver toxicity, seizures, substance use disorder, and deaths, often in combination with other drugs. That does not sound like a harmless herbal supplement. So what does the poison control data say? The public health data are very alarming. A CDC Morbidity and Mortality World Report analyzing the National Poison Data System data from 2015 through 2025 found that kratom-related exposure reports increased 1,200%, from 258 reports in 2015 to 3,434 reports in 2025. That same report found that 14,449 total kratom exposure reports during that period. The CDC also reported multiple substance kratom exposures were associated with more hospitalizations, more serious outcomes, and accounted for most kratom-associated deaths during the study period. This matters clinically because many people who use kratom or 7-OH are not using it in isolation. They may also be using alcohol, benzodiazepines, opioids, antidepressants, sleep medications, stimulants, cannabis, or other gas station or smoke shop products. That combination is where the risk escalates fast. So what are the symptoms and clinical risks of these compounds? America's Poison Centers has warned about serious health effects associated with 7-OH. Reported symptoms include nausea and vomiting, agitation, confusion, sweating, rapid heart rate, high blood pressure, trouble breathing, sleepiness or loss of consciousness, and seizures. The Texas DSHS has specifically warned people to avoid products containing 7-OH and lists symptoms including respiratory depression, seizures, confusion, loss of consciousness, and trouble breathing. Those are not minor side effects. Those are emergency medicine problems, addiction medicine problems, family medicine problems, and psychiatric problems. Unfortunately, by the time many patients tell a doctor they're using Kratom or 7-OH, they may already be too late. They may be dependent. So let's talk about dependence and withdrawal. One of the most common things I hear from people defending Kratom is, it helped me get off opioids. And I want to be careful here. I do not dismiss people's lived experience. Some people genuinely believe Kratom helped them avoid fentanyl, heroin, or prescription opioids. That matters. But replacing one unregulated opioid-like dependence with another unregulated opioid-like dependence is not the same thing as evidence-based treatment. We have actual treatments for opioid use disorder, including buprenorphine, methadone, naltrexone, counseling, recovery programs, integrated psychiatric care, and long-term follow-up. Kratom and 7-OH are not approved treatments for opioid use disorder. And if someone cannot stop using a product without withdrawal, cravings, dose escalation, and functional impairment, we have to call that what it is: dependence, and in some cases, substance use disorder. The FDA has described Kratom-related substance use disorder as cases involving longer than intended use, cravings, tolerance, continued use despite the consequences, and withdrawal symptoms when use stops. So why 7-OH should be banned? Let me be very clear. 7-OH should be banned. The case is strong. First, it has opioid-like effects. Second, it's being sold in concentrated forms. Third, it has no approved medical use. Fourth, consumers do not understand what they're taking. Fifth, it is being sold in places that are not healthcare settings. Sixth, packaging can be attractive to young people. And finally, seventh, poison control centers and health departments are already warning about serious illness. The FDA issued warning letters in July of 2025 to companies marketing products containing 7-OH, including tablets, gummies, drinks, drink mixes, and shots. The FDA stated that 7-OH is not lawful in dietary supplements and cannot be lawfully added to conventional foods and is not an ingredient in any approved drug. The FDA also recommended a scheduling action to control certain 7-OH products under the Controlled Substances Act. The DEA has final authority for scheduling, but the FDA's position is clear. This is a public health threat. So why shouldn't Kratom be freely sold either? Some people are going to say, fine, ban 7-OH, but leave Kratom alone. So I understand that argument, but there is a distinction between traditional Kratom leaf and highly concentrated 7-OH products. But here's my concern. The current retail marketplace does not protect consumers. Most people are not carefully evaluating the alkaloid concentrations, the pharmacology, contamination risk, drug interactions, or the addiction risk. They're buying a product because the package says it helps with pain, mood, anxiety, energy, or opioid withdrawal. That is a medical claim, and medical claims require medical standards. The FDA has stated that Kratom is not lawfully marketed in the U.S. as a drug product, dietary supplement, or food additive in conventional food. So a minimum, Kratom should not be sold in gas stations, smoke shops, convenience stores, or online as a casual wellness product. My personal view is stronger given the dependence risk, the contamination risk, inconsistent dosing, psychiatric vulnerability of many users, and the rise of concentrated extracts. Kratom should be banned from consumer retail sale unless and until it goes through a legitimate FDA pathway. If a Kratom-derived compound has medical value, study it, standardize it, dose it, regulate it, prescribe it, and monitor it. But do not sell it like a supplement while it behaves like an opioid-like psychoactive drug. Kratom and 7-OH are part of a bigger problem that I call gas station medicine. We've seen this before with many products like tianeptine, synthetic cannabinoids, phenibut, high-dose caffeine products, unregulated nootropics, mystery mood and pain products, and even medications for erectile dysfunction. The pattern is always the same. A product is sold as legal, natural, or safer than a prescription medicine. It becomes popular before regulators fully catch up. People start developing dependence, withdrawal, intoxication, psychiatric symptoms, or even medical complications such as death. The poison centers, emergency rooms, and addiction clinics begin seeing the consequences, and by the time the public realizes what's happening, the market is already flooded. That's exactly why we should act early with Kratom and 7-OH. So what do I tell my patients if they come in and tell me they're using Kratom or 7-OH? I'm not here to shame you. A lot of people start using these products because they're suffering. They may have chronic pain, they may have anxiety, they may have depression, they may be trying to get away from opioids. I understand that. They may be just trying to function. But I would say this clearly. Do not assume it's safe because it's legal. Do not assume it's safe because it's plant-based. Do not assume it's safe because someone at a store recommended it. Definitely do not mix it with alcohol, benzodiazepines, other opioids, sleep medications, or other sedating substances. Do not use 7-OH. And if you feel like you cannot stop, talk to a clinician. This is not a moral failure. It's a medical issue. So what should parents know about these products? Parents need to know that these products may not look dangerous. They may look like gummies, energy drinks, drink mixes, capsules, vape shop products, and candy-like packages. Texas DSHS specifically warned that concentrated 7-OH products are being sold as pills, gummies, candies, and even imitation ice cream cones at gas stations, smoke shops, and online retailers. That should terrify us because teenagers do not always understand pharmacology. They understand packaging. They understand trends. They understand what their friends say is legal or natural. And when a product has opioid-like effects, dependence, potential, and respiratory risk, we should not wait for a widespread tragedy before responding. Here's my policy position. Number 1, ban concentrated 7-OH products. No gummies, no shots, no tablets, no drink mixes, no gas station 7-OH, no online 7-OH marketed as wellness or pain relief. Number 2, remove Kratom from casual retail sale. It should not be sitting next to energy drinks and vape cartridges. Shouldn't have vape cartridges either, but that's another story. Number 3, prohibit medical claims unless approved by the FDA. If a company says Kratom treats pain, anxiety, depression, PTSD, opioid withdrawal, or addiction, that should trigger enforcement. Number 4, require testing and labeling if any Kratom-derived product actually gets to remain legal. That means alkaloid levels, contaminants, heavy metals, microbial testing, drug interaction warnings, pregnancy warnings, and addiction warnings. Number 5, fund real research. If there's a legitimate therapeutic compound in Kratom, let science evaluate it in the right way. But the public should not be the uncontrolled experiment. I want to applaud the following states for recognizing the dangers of Kratom and doing everything they can to limit the public's access to these dangerous compounds. The following states have enacted full Kratom bans, making it illegal to buy, possess, use, and sell Kratom and its alkaloids, including 7-OH. Alabama has banned it since 2016. Arkansas has it classified as a Schedule 1. Indiana has it classified as a synthetic controlled substance. Louisiana's statewide ban took effect August 1st of 2025. Vermont, Wisconsin, and Connecticut have all classified it as a Schedule 1 controlled substance. Rhode Island had a ban, but reversed its stance in the Rhode Island Kratom Act signed in July of 2025, which created a regulated framework with sales permitted to adults 21 and over that started in April of 2026. Following states have specific 7-OH bans or restrictions. Florida, Louisiana, Mississippi, and Colorado have all banned synthetic 7-OH specifically. There's a few states. Kansas has a 7-OH kratom-related substance designated as Schedule 1 controlled substance with a ban on sale and possession that's going to take effect July 1st. Ohio has a synthetic kratom 7-OH ban and have made it a Schedule 1 medication in a permanent rule that took effect May 14th of 2026, which replaced a December 2025 emergency rule. Natural kratom leaf is still under separate consideration there. Florida filed an emergency rule in August 2025 classifying certain 7-OH products as a Schedule 1 controlled substance, making it illegal to sell, possess, or distribute there. Florida alone reported removal of more than 17,000 packages since that ban took effect. In California, the California Department of Public Health issued guidance stating that foods and dietary supplements containing kratom and 7-OH are illegal to sell or manufacture. In Tennessee, they passed a Matthew Davenport law creating new restrictions on kratom-related products, especially concentrated synthetic or enhanced 7-OH products, that begins July 1st, 2026. In my home state of Texas, we've passed the Kratom Consumer Protection Act, which has age restrictions and labeling restrictions, but has not banned the substance. Come on, Texas, get on board. Let's make this illegal. The federal status of these compounds: in July of 2025, the FDA formally recommended that the DEA place 7-hydroxymetragenine 7-OH on the Schedule 1 of the Controlled Substance Act, which is the most aggressive federal action since the failed DEA scheduling attempt in 2016. The FDA specifically targets concentrated and synthetic 7-OH products and not the natural kratom leaf at this time. But as of June of 2026, when this is being recorded, neither kratom nor the isolate 7-OH is scheduled under the Federal Controlled Substance Act. Unfortunately, the DEA has not yet acted on the FDA's recommendation. Let's talk about the ethical issue here. As a physician, I see this as an ethical issue. We cannot hold prescription medications to one standard and allow gas station opioids to operate under a completely different standard just because they're labeled as natural. If I prescribe a controlled substance, I'm expected to establish a diagnosis, discuss risks and benefits, check interactions, monitor for abuse, consider pregnancy, watch for respiratory depression. I have to document appropriately, and I have to follow all state and federal laws. But someone can walk into a smoke shop and buy an opioid-like product with no medical evaluation at all. That makes absolutely no sense. That's not freedom. That's a regulatory failure. So here's the bottom line. Kratom is not harmless. 7-OH is especially dangerous. The public is being misled by marketing that makes opioid-like products look safe, natural, and casual. The data are moving in the wrong direction. Poison center reports are increasing, hospitalizations are increasing, and regulators are looking the wrong way. Clinicians are seeing dependence and withdrawal. We should not wait until kratom and 7-OH become the next chapter in the opioid epidemic. We should act now, ban 7-OH, remove kratom from unregulated retail sale, stop allowing companies to market opioid-like substances as wellness products, and for the people already using these substances, do not suffer in silence. Talk to a medical professional. Help exists, and safer, evidence-based options are available. As always, stay curious and stay informed.